November 4th was Election Day in America. It's our main way to exercise our democratic rights. But many people take this right for granted. In fact, only 36.6% of eligible voters even voted in this last election. So let's explore why democracy is so important and why people have and continue to die for this right.
So, what actually is democracy? This idea is still a fuzzy topic for people today. Democracy is a form of government where supreme power is vested in the people and is represented by them or elected officials under an electoral system. But what exactly does this mean?
Have you ever seen a stop sign and wondered how it got there? Who put it there? And who decided it should be there? Well, this all plays into the game of democracy. There are two main types of democracies, direct and representative.
The first direct democracy was started in Athens, Greece, and involved all citizens voting to make decisions with no representatives. This type of democracy reflected the beliefs of the philosopher Socrates. He appreciated a democracy where people had their own opinions to share and argue over.
In Rome, they invented a new type of democracy called a representative democracy, which involves elections that choose representatives that then make the decisions for the people. These representatives write bills and vote to pass laws. These ideas reflected in Aristotle's ideas on how a democracy should function. Aristotle believed that a democracy should have a mixed government with a strong executive, a council, and democratic assembly.
But democracy isn't just about voting. There's actually a lot more to it, such as getting people motivated to run for office, having people informed about current issues, and bringing these ideas and issues to representatives' attention. If the representative is not doing her job, we can elect someone else in the next election.
One very important component to having a successful democracy is having people believe in and support the democratic process. This means they believe that it is legitimate and they must live with the results of their votes, even if their side lost. People need to believe in the rule of law. Also, you need to give all people the ability to vote, which was not always the case in American history. In fact, women in America only received the right to vote in 1920, less than a century ago.
In addition to the voting process, democracy works best when people share core democratic values such as popular sovereignty, truth, justice, equality, diversity, patriotism, individual rights, and common good. There are many countries in the world that have a democracy but are missing many of these core democratic values.
All these values are really important in making a democracy work, but personally, I feel that one of the most important values is individual rights. Individual rights is so important because it ensures that the majority cannot just trample on the rights of the minority. For example, without individual rights, right-handed people could just pass a law to put all left-handed people in jail. Seems unfair? Well, the right-handers are the majority. However, by having individual rights, we limit the power of the government so that the government, as represented by the majority, cannot just do whatever it wants.
So far, this democracy thing sounds pretty good, but not everyone lives in a democracy. Life in a democracy is different than life under a different form of government because in a democracy, all citizens get a chance to vote and have a say. If you don't like something, you can change it. This also provides a foundation of stability.
This is very different from all other types of governments, like military rule, dictatorships, autocracies, monarchies, and oligarchies, because in those forms of government, it is difficult to have your voice heard, especially if you want to change. Laws and rules come from the leaders in these forms of government. They can and often abuse their power. While in a democracy, there are checks and balances to ensure no one branch or set of leaders becomes too powerful.
In non-democratic countries, the people can often be unhappy because they want to get their voice heard and ensure basic freedoms and fairness. They express their desire for democracy through protests and other actions, as we see today in Hong Kong and in the Middle East. But the transition from a non-democratic country to a democratic one can be messy. People in power tend to want to stay in power and will usually resist giving their power to the people.
In spite of their government's resistance, citizens can get their voice heard in many different ways, such as protests. Some countries become violent in their protests, such as in Venezuela, where the political issues are becoming heated. After President Hugo Chávez's death, there is a lack of control in government, police corruption, and 90% of homicides go unsolved.
People have been killing for no reason. Homicide rates have been increasing quickly due to drug violence, police corruption, and mainly government not caring. The government have stopped giving journalists daily homicide figures and banned the publicizing of pictures displaying the violence and bloodshed of Venezuela.
However, in other places, many people are protesting with peace. Such as in Egypt, thousands of citizens gathered in the center of Tahrir Square in Cairo, dressed in all black, and stood facing the sea with their backs to the city for an hour, completely silent. There was no violence, no riots, no yelling, just peaceful standing together for something strong they all believed in.
Even though these protests were peaceful, many brave protesters were killed, beaten, raped, tortured, and lost many loved ones. But these are not the only ways that citizens can get their voices heard. Some other ways include writing articles, protesting, hunger strikes, making petitions, and now sharing news about what is happening on social media.
When we see people around the world protesting and dying for the cause of democracy, we should appreciate our own democracy and work to make it better. Participate, educate yourself about the issues, vote if you're eligible, and understand other people's perspectives. And don't hesitate to make a change in something that affects you.